It's May the 4th, and you know what that means. It's time for relationship tips that I learned from Star Wars. Let's do it. What the hell? Number 1, communicate openly and honestly. And a great example here is the scene right before Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite and Princess Leia says, "I love you." And he says, "I know." Now, of course, that is Han's character. Is it Han or Han? It's his character for sure to kind of react in that kind of smug, asshole-ish kind of way. But he's about to be frozen in carbonite, and now she has no idea if he loves her back or not. So it's kind of an asshole move. Should he have said "I love you" if he didn't mean it? No, absolutely not. Should he have just kept his mouth shut and not said anything? Maybe. Or maybe he should have responded honestly, which is basically what he did. But I think he really did love her, and he just was afraid to say it. And that's a key difference. Practicing empathy. Now, in The Phantom Menace, and I know a lot of people are critical of The Phantom Menace, especially because of Jar Jar Binks. I would be one of those people. But I love the character of Qui-Gon Jinn, of course, played by the great Liam Neeson. And at one point, he tells Anakin, "Feel, trust your instincts." And of course, that is great advice for relationships too. You do need to trust your instincts. Love is not about logic and reason as much as it is emotion and connecting empathetically with what the other person is feeling. So trust your instincts. Don't try and analyze and micromanage things. Show forgiveness. Yes, I'm not talking to you, R2. Show forgiveness. Will you quit interrupting? In the scene where Luke forgives Darth Vader, believing that there is still good in him. Remember Darth Vader? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, in that scene, he forgives his father for all the things that he's done because he believes that there's still good in him. And that is perfect for relationships. None of us are perfect. All of us will make mistakes. All of us have made mistakes. Obviously, some are worse than others, and there may be things that your partner does eventually that could be unforgivable. But for the most part, almost everything is forgivable with the right attitude and communication. Right, R2? Okay. All right, that's what I thought. Respect each other's space, identity, and ability to make choices that are best for each other. And for this, I'm going to go to The Mandalorian as an example, where Mando respects Grogu, Baby Yoda, respects Grogu's choice to go train with Luke instead of training with him. And of course, who wouldn't want to train with Luke Skywalker, right? But he could have been all like jealous and possessive and irritable about it, and he could have maybe tried to restrict Grogu from doing that. Probably a bad move. But he didn't. He was open and honest about it, and he let Grogu make the choice that felt right for Grogu. And that's exactly how relationships should be. Remember the quote from Maya Angelou: "You should love in such a way that the other person feels free." Handle conflicts with patience. Think back to The Empire Strikes Back, and they're on Hoth getting ready to flee. And Han and Leia are basically arguing because Leia wants to wait for the transports, whereas Han is anxious to leave. But they're able to discuss and express their feelings with one another about what's going on in a kind of a calm manner that is not destructive, it's not critical, it's not angry, and it's not condescending. Now, an example of how not to communicate can be actually found in Star Wars A New Hope, Episode 4, the very first Star Wars film released, after the pod crash lands on the desert in Tatooine. Do you remember Tatooine, R2? I thought so. Anyway, when they're there on the desert, will you quit interrupting? Walking away from the pod, C-3PO says, "We seem to be made to suffer. It's our lot in life." He did say that. He did. And then R2 basically beeps, just like you're doing now, right? And then C-3PO says, "No more adventures. I'm going that way." And R2 beeps some more, and 3PO ends with, "You seem to be malfunctioning, you nearsighted scrap pile," or something along those lines. And that's an example of how not to communicate with your partner. Don't be critical, don't be condescending. You can communicate a disagreement without belittling the other person. Right, R2? I thought so. All right. Relationship communication is not just about resolving conflict. You've got to also celebrate those wins as well. After the Battle of Endor in The Return of the Jedi, everyone comes together to celebrate basically the end of the Empire and the end of the Emperor. And they all come together to celebrate that win, that victory. And you've got to do that in your relationship too. It's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this May 4th edition of my TikTok videos, and I'll see you in the next one.